Founded Dance Kids in 1993. I've been a friend of Shari Hastey's for these many years. Shari and a group of others founded an organization called CPY, Community Partnership for Youth, when a young man in Seaside was murdered in 1991. And she and a coalition of other people founded CPY, and she has been heading this incredible organization ever since then as executive director. When there were issues that arose this past summer from a couple of our valued members of Dance Kids community in regards to diversity, I have to tell you I needed to reach out to somebody that had more information than I do on how to speak to parents, how to speak to children. And the first person I thought of was Shari, because she had such an incredible track record in this community. And actually I called Community Foundation, who does some funding for Dance Kids, and I told them what I needed. And they said to me, Kathy Rushmore said to me, well, you couldn't have called a better person than Shari to come and speak. So I'm honored that when I called her and I said, look, this is my problem, we need some help. She said, you want me to come and talk? Wow. So, ladies and gentlemen, a very dear friend, and I'm sure you will understand and appreciate what I feel about Shari once you hear her speak. Shari Hastey.
It is indeed an honor to be here. And I'm going to show a little clip, hopefully.
Somebody can press me up.
I can set it up for you right now.
Yep.
Just from when you said that.
Do you understand me? Do you understand me? Right. she says to Grandma, "Did Mama leave me? Am I gonna have to stay here?" That's when the sound went out, but that's really important.
Yeah.
So what are some of your observations?
Well, bright light might have hit out. And that everybody's different. And that's what we should celebrate in our country and write history and everything we do.
What else did you observe?
She wasn't adapting to the norm, and so she was punished for it and excluded from participating. Because she wasn't doing what was expected and what everyone else was doing.
What else? Yes.
Her art was her refuge, because obviously there was something going on at home.
What else?
She was, even though she was told to stop, you know, she didn't give in. You know, she held on to that spark she had and that love of performing, even though she had to leave because of it. You know, she's saying as she walked out the door.
And if you notice, it was okay for someone else in the choir to come get down, but it wasn't okay for her. What else did you see? How did you feel when she was taken out of the church and left outside?
Terrible.
I wanted to grab her hand on the other side.
But she still was singing.
Yeah.
Wasn't gonna let that stop her. What else did you observe?
She has a strong will. If she went through that and still was singing, as she's going out that door, she's gonna be a strong woman. Is what I think. Yeah.
And we know her as the strong woman,
Yeah.
Tina Turner. Had to take a lot of bumps along the road, but what else did you observe? Yes?
Okay, I might be projecting, but, she wanted to do what she wanted to do artistically, and it didn't matter if she had talent or if other people saw her talent, she just wanted to pursue singing, and she didn't really care that other people didn't think she was doing it right, she was gonna do it anyway.
Do you think she didn't care?
I mean, I think she cared, but I think she decided that she wanted it more than the people that were telling her she couldn't do it.
I think it just gave her joy
Yes.
to sing.
I'm sorry,
It just gave her joy to sing.
Yes.
But you did see how crestfallen she was originally. So the woman came on very strong and was very intimidating. And, it wasn't like she didn't experience that. She did experience that. And she was, she continued to do what she wanted, but you're hoping that it didn't continue down that path for her, that there'd be enough people to support her so that, ultimately that wouldn't just become too much for her.
Her reaction as she was being pulled down and left outside the door, and both that and then when she was being chastised and she did it again anyway, rather leads me to believe that it wasn't so much that she was choosing to do this, but that she couldn't stop herself. The music was just coming at her. There's nothing she could do about it.
what else? Yes.
That the facilitator, the choir director couldn't adapt. She had a program for 4th of July, she wanted her show to look like this, even though this light was shining extremely bright, she couldn't figure out a way to use that. And that was like a tragedy, really.
Yeah, she could have used her she could have been the real star actually in that situation. In a way, like a leader. The kid could have been the leader. Yeah, would have really probably brought everybody else up to the kid. And instead, she elected to remove the bright star, possibly. Just put her out.
What, if that little girl came here, how do you think she would be? Take the singing and make it dance.
Good question. Any type of dance.
How about ballet?
We're talking about expression.
Yeah, that's good. Because the reason I asked that is because, I mean, being a ballet teacher, ballet is all about form and conforming to a certain way, a technical way. And a lot of kids or dancers, they constantly want to step outside of that, and they have to, it's very tricky, because ultimately, yes, you do step out of it, way out, but you have to understand the technicalities first before you can really do it. So it's very hard not to squash and suppress someone's dance spirit teaching ballet. So it's such a fine balance. And there are other forms of dance which are much more readily accepting and allow that immediately.
But she's coming in to learn the Nutcracker.
Oh, sure.
How is
okay.
she gonna be?
Well, she'd be great.
Celebrated.
Yeah, she'd be the light on the tree, right? Yeah.
She's gonna get on your last nerve.
Oh, sure, yeah.
But how do you handle that?
You teach to her strengths,
That's true.
meet her where she is.
And that's what, yes.
And create a role for her so she can be what she wanna be, right?
Well, we still need to teach her, you know, the confinements of the Nutcracker. You know, we're not going to just let her go, but there's a way of doing it, yes.
You provide opportunities for her to be successful, and then, like, you give breaks. You give more active roles where everyone else might be standing still, but she's gotta move more, you let her move more. You cast her, like they said, as the naughty bonbon instead of the funny bonbon. And like, or if it's a child like that, I would give them a leadership role. I put them in charge of the other mice, and like, again, I still might be projecting based on my own family children. But if they're gonna talk too much in rehearsal, we're gonna put them in a leadership role where they have something to do besides act up, and give them responsibilities.
Totally. Yeah, I agree with that.
And how else could she be? We're seeing her as this child that's rambunctious and full of energy, but could she be the child that comes in and is withdrawn,
Yeah, you could teach.
doesn't have social interaction, feels like she's other rather than part of the dance?
It's possible.
How about when the leader was, are you gonna be quiet? Do you understand? Versus getting down to her level. Big difference. And when you're watching kids, I think I went online and was looking at all the things that could happen with dance performances and how I could talk about what we're talking about in that context. And I was thinking about how during the Nutcracker, we've got some little ones that have to wait forever before it's their time. And they're nervous. And what happens when they're nervous?
Everybody has to back.
And what else?
They poke at each other.
And you start getting nervous because you're in charge. So how am I gonna keep them? And we sometimes forget what they're going through, we're going through. So I want you to think, if that's gonna be your responsibility, be equipped when you're watching them. What are some things you can do?
Direct their attention to something, that'll entertain them for a while.
Such as what? Let's be real practical. So we
Okay,
can
like,
have tools.
if we had like crayons in a coloring book, or we had building blocks, or, you know, things like that they like to play with. Game, cards, you know, depending on how old they are.
Acknowledge how they feel.
Yeah.
You know, I would be a little nervous, but then when we talk to young people about being nervous, a lot of times they feel nervous, but they're prepared. So we think about how you feel if you weren't prepared. You've been rehearsed, you know what you're doing. So a little bit of butterflies are good because it makes you ready, but I think acknowledging someone's feelings and not negating them is vital.
We don't know what people are going through in life.
No.
And so often we judge behavior versus asking ourselves, it's none of our business what's going on. But I've never met a bad child. I've seen lots of bad behavior. But sometimes in school especially, children get judged by their behavior. We work in the middle school, well, you know, middle school, you're going through hormones and testosterone, and it's the time where you're pushing, and so often, you let a 13, a 12-year-old be in charge because you're coming down on them, rather than taking the time to talk to them. Just like all of the things that you've said, being creative. When we talk about diversity, we're not talking about skin color. We're talking about, from my perspective, where we're coming from. You know, it may be the day of the Nutcracker, Grandma and Grandpa were gonna come and they don't come. And that child is so disappointed. It may be that Mom and Dad had a fight. Maybe Daddy was supposed to come and they're separated, but Daddy can't come, or Mommy can't come. You know, I think that we need to keep in mind, behavior needs attention. And we need to be working on building their assets. One thing that we've learned in the trade, for lack of another way to say, is that most children act out because of trauma in their life. And again, it's not we don't need to get into their business to find out what trauma they've had. But you may have children that come to visit your child, and you're going, oh my goodness, what behavior? They don't say please, they don't say thank you, they don't, you know. And it's so easy to judge and label and put a child in our category. Well, I don't want you playing with them again. When that child needs that companionship more than ever. And here, children don't know that you care until you care. And so often we hesitate in telling them how wonderful they are. And we build on, I have a problem in our society now, always telling children don't. I grew up climbing a tree. I fell off and broke my elbow. You know, but you can't climb on the fence, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do this. And I love that our children can come and express themselves through dance, where they're told very little that you can't do it. You're encouraging them to do it. And for some of the children coming in, that's what they need more than anything, to know that they can and that they will. What do you see in these pictures?
A woman, a beautiful young woman with a feather in her hair.
Okay.
And a fur.
Anybody see something different?
And
An old lady? Do you see anything else? How many of you see the old lady? And how many of you see the young person?
Both now.
Okay, do you see the old lady now? This is her chin. Excuse me, this is her chin, and this is her nose. You see it?
I can only see the other side.
Okay. And I do this to show.
What's that say about me?
So here's the young lady with her, this is her eyelash. And here's the nose of the old lady. She's got a hood on, and here's her chin. She's got a fur coat on. And I show that to say that we all come to life with a different perspective. You know? And we know we're right. Really?
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes there's other things. Yeah. So it's important with children too to realize that when you talk to parents, when you talk to other people, that I'm not going to say two sides to the story, but there's different perspectives. I mean, it's like politics right now. My goodness, you don't want to get into conversation because people are coming from different perspectives and truly believe what they believe. Why do some kids grow up with ease while others struggle? Why do some kids get involved in dangerous activities while others spend time contributing to society? What I want to talk today, and I know that we don't have a lot of time, but talking about building on assets. When you see a child that you're working with, look at their strengths, especially the one that's got on your last nerve, and you just wish they weren't in your life because you have to deal with them. Because that's about you, it's not about the child. So I want you to be thinking about how we can build on their strengths, just like some of you said, to really have a dance or have something for that little child, put her in a leadership role. Usually children in community partnership, we bring in middle school students and they become junior leaders and they get on your last nerve. But all of a sudden a little kinder's running up to them and thinking they're the best thing since sliced bread. Well, you see that resistance come down. I think we need to build into particularly youngsters that have a hard time following the norm that we think is right. Remember this? It's right for who? You know, we know, and I say that in the context of we can't have a bunch of little dancers out there doing their own thing, but we're responsible for the way we talk to them. Children never get spoiled because we praise them. But it's important when you're talking to them to call them by name. You know, Carol, I love the way you stood by me so quietly. Versus, Carol, would you stop and come over here? See the difference? The tone of your voice changes. Children that feel like they do wrong, don't do right, will always do wrong, because at least they're getting attention. And our school system is the worst. It kills kids left and right, in terms of their self-esteem. They're acting out, well, let's just get rid of them. And I've been working in the school district for 28 years and experienced a lot of that. And it hurts my heart. Because that same child, I'm thinking of Lalo, he spent the summer with us. Oh yes, he was a knucklehead. And he took a lot of energy, but he made it through the summer, but was kicked out of middle school and sent to another middle school. And the administrator said, well, good luck, he's the biggest bully around. Well, he just was a knucklehead. I mean, I'm not saying he was perfect, and I'm not saying he didn't take a lot of our energy, but so often, and I'm saying all this, you are parents, you know what you're doing, and you know, and I'm not trying to talk down to you, just reminding you that, just think in your mind of the one person when you were growing up that made you feel really good about yourself. And why did you feel good about yourself when you were with them? Can some of you share that?
Does someone listen? Really listen? What do you need somebody?
What else?
I think people who, maybe not necessarily your own family, but people who you meet that see you for who you know you are, without having to say anything or tell them, they see it. Things that you think, or maybe question about yourself that you do believe, then somebody else sees it, and it like validates.
And how do you know they see it?
I think it's the way they are with you, the way they speak with you, the things they say to you, the way in which they say it, makes you feel like something, you're valued. I think it goes back to that. For me.
Who else? Yes.
They show caring, they show affection, and you have to figure it out. I know they care.
And often it's the actions, rather than not always what they say, more often powerful the actions that the gestures perhaps they do, or they give you a moment, just for something, little things sometimes.
And in everything we're saying, I want you to think of when you are overseeing children during the nutcracker. You know, that you're not there to watch them. You're there to make a difference in their lives. And it's always the little things. It's like the drops of water that come in, consistent drops, create a seed. Or create a pool if you're in the backyard and want to have a little pool. It's the, you know, it takes a lot of drops in order to fill that space. And for some children coming here, they may not get a whole lot of that. And what an opportunity, what a blessing it is for you to be a part of their lives in that way. Also remember that only hurting people hurt. Somebody's not going to hurt you unless they're hurting themselves. So your reaction to them can escalate that. If someone's done you wrong and you hold on to it, who does it hurt the most? You. And so often people aren't even aware, and so often we take on things that's really not about us, it's about that person. But we hang on to it and it hurts us because we hang on to it instead of just letting it go. And that's one of the hardest things to do. But when you can practice that and do it, it frees you up to be all that you are. And we need to let one another know. Do you all know each other? With the kids, thank them for it. You know, build community we have a standard in CPY that says, in CPY we greet each other every day with a smile and a handshake to strengthen the relationship between us. So I just encourage you to do that because there's going to be days that you're going to wonder, why am I here? I've got so much, I've got company coming and oh my goodness, I'm tired. You know, I've been at work all day and something happened at work. It's choices that we make in order to we can decide that we can get out of that space. And when you're with the children, they don't know, just like we don't know where they're coming from. But if you're irritable and you're angry and frustrated, it's like with your own children. How easy it is to shut them down. And it's not what you want to do. But it just happens because we forget that we're the adult and we give a lot of power to a little 6-year-old that can really get on our last nerve and we can go there, right? When that happens, what do you do? Yes?
Watch me get food.
I beg your pardon?
Watch me get food.
Keep short accounts. There's nothing like mommy saying, I'm sorry. I was really irritable and I did it that way. Or in the context of when you're feeling all that pressure, and you will blow it. It's human nature to blow it. But keep a short account and apologize. Children love, they're just little bodies and they have the same stuff going on that you do. And sometimes we don't acknowledge that in little ones, that they are as sensitive emotionally as we are. I'm trying to decide whether to pass these out now or I think I'll just leave. But one sheet is about key themes in asset building. And if you work in an office, if you have people that work for you, this is awesome to build on their strengths. You know, sometimes we don't stop and think about all of our interactions, but if we're looking for the best in people, we're gonna get what we put into them. We're gonna get if we're nurturing people, so often we nurture people based on performance versus who they are. Let me say that again. We nurture people based on performance versus who they are. And how wonderful for your coworkers to know that you really care for them. Not because you bring in cupcakes, but that you really are sensitive to their, whatever is going on in their life and acknowledge it. So I'm gonna leave one of these sheets, kicking it around. And then I brought a real practical, and you probably, again, your parents, you're the experts, but it's just a reminder of how to teach students to follow directions, instructions. So often we just, I think originally we talked about respect, and I'm thinking, we can't respect anybody if we don't respect ourselves. And to respect ourselves and to be able to do that with our children, they're not here to obey. They're there, they're learning, they're gonna push the boundaries. So, and sometimes when we ask a child to do something, we don't always praise them for doing it. Well, you just do it. Well, the more we acknowledge that they've done something you've asked for, that makes them feel good, think of your work. I think sometimes we forget what it's like as a child. You know, when we get to be an adult, we forget how good it feels when somebody acknowledges something we did. Same with the little one. They need to be acknowledged. They need to know that you appreciate them and care for them. When you're working with children, try to be positive. Be direct in what you want them to do. Don't run. Would you please walk? There's a difference between that. And children will, when you are positive and you tell them what to do, because sometimes, just think about maybe what happened this morning. You said something to your child and they kind of looked at you wondering what you really wanted them to do or say. And sometimes we're not specific in what we expect or what we want. So I just encourage you to do that, but because you're gonna have little ones that you don't really know. And sometimes being positive when you've got come on, let's sit down. No, please sit down. Sometimes we say, let's sit down. Well, no, I don't want to. Please sit down is different. So you're being direct in what you expect of them. And I think I mentioned praising children. Nobody's gonna get spoiled because you're praising them. They need, just like we do, need that. Success doesn't come to you, you go for it. You know, we have to create a successful environment here. We have to create, no matter what we do, we have to be intentional on what our expectations are, rather than just come in and feel like, well, it's just gonna be. Let's make this season one of great intention. And also remember that the only thing we can do is care for them. We can't cure them. We're not here to fix each other. We're here to care and to encourage and to give. And when we try to cure, so often that's, what's the word I'm thinking of? Help me. Yeah. So often when we try to cure, yes, it comes from a place of judgment, but even more so, it's enabling behavior. You know, we're not responsible. We can't change anybody but ourselves, right? And I know that we think we can change our spouse sometimes, and you know how that works out. But even with children, you know, it's giving them concrete instructions and directions to make that behavior change. One of the, I have so many notes here, and our time is up. Eleanor Roosevelt said, "You gain strength, courage, and confidence by every experience in which you really look to stop fear in the face. You must do the thing which you think you cannot do." So those days that you think, oh goodness, I don't wanna be with 7 children, or, I'm tired, I was at rehearsals all last night, the last thing I wanna do is this. Again, it's an act of the will. A wonderful, wonderful poem that Nelson Mandela shared when he got out of prison and was elected president. It's called Our Greatest Fear. Our greatest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our greatest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant and talented? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people around you won't feel insecure. We were born to manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it is in everyone. As we let our light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. And I guess I'm just encouraging you to be vulnerable. No, sometimes that's hard, but own your stuff, keep short accounts, get to know one another, and make this the very best season you can.